What a sick fuck.
The hardest 3 thrusts. Dude, I'm tripping my balls off.
Come to my house telling me to shut the fuck up and then telling me to reel it back in. Welcome to Agro Labs Podcast. My name is Cameron, and today with me, I got Josh Elchert.
Yeah.
We had some technical difficulties before the show.
Stuff happens. You gotta be prepared. Figure it out.
Yeah, dude, you gotta figure it out, man. That's how we've been living for thousands of years, right? Some motherfucker just figured it out.
For sure. I'm super happy to be here in the lab. This is my first podcast experience. I was a little bit shocked that you asked me to be on, but I felt compelled to come because of who you are. You know, you're like a son, almost like a little homie to a big homie. You know, you're somebody I watch. And I've watched you take this journey, and I probably wouldn't do this for most people, to be honest with you, but I've just watched you grow and watched all your accomplishments and like you doing your own thing. Like, I feel like I had to be here.
Yeah, I definitely, back in the day can remember, seeing you, and, I really didn't know what success meant or what success looked like, and the idea of success seemed so far away removed from me that I was, I used to really just think motherfuckers were lucky,
right?
And it's to say that like some people don't have role models and don't have mentors, and I've been watching you too, right? Like whether you know it or not, like I've been seeing what you do out here.
It's funny, the ripple effects, if you really look at the things that we all do and like let that play out for 5 years, positive or negative, like when you're in the streets and when I was in the streets and all the dirt that I did, the ripple effects that had. And when you flip it to the positive and the same thing, like, man, think about the person that you first helped get into treatment and like what he's done and who he's helped. Like, it's some super deep stuff that'll make you cry if you really think about it, man. Like what we're out here doing is really changing lives, and in a time too, to be honest, like COVID for me, it's funny that like I'm not downplaying COVID. Please, nobody take that away. I'm not downplaying COVID. We have people dying every single day from overdoses. I know way more people that have died from drug overdoses or alcohol-related crashes than from COVID. And I'm not saying that I'm not taking anything away from COVID. It's serious, but I feel like the same seriousness could be placed on addiction and stuff like that, and then these treatment centers have to follow the rules that are ever changing. Like, I could never do what you do because like just the governmental changes from one regime to another seem insane to me. Like, you can't do this, you can do that. Okay, let's go to this type of detox, and it's just so complicated, to be honest, to help people, and it shouldn't be.
I don't it's so funny I'm gonna say this. I don't even want to admit this on the podcast. I have a TikTok.
Okay.
and it's to like, it's to promote and it's to do certain things. And I just made a TikTok, and I didn't know this until I started doing some research after I sat down with Jake and
Murphy.
Spellless.
Nice. Yeah. Shout out.
And people die every 11 minutes in America due to drug overdose.
Wow.
So in the course of this hour podcast, you know what I mean? There's so many people who go to the wayside, right? And we're lucky because we got to get out of that. We got to kind of like, get out of the way, before that ball was rolling down our hill. And that's the reality, is even though there's COVID out there right now, there's people out there who are still getting high and don't give a fuck about COVID.
That's true. Yeah, and like just the time you were speaking, by your statistics, somebody died, and that's crazy. And these people are the downtrodden and like that nobody cares about. So being able to care about them and love them and see some of the success stories, and that's what I meant about the ripple effect. Like, I've watched people prosper, Josh, man. I mean, Juan, Mr. Murphy, so many people, and the impact that they have on the community. Like, if you look at it from a macro, larger view, like, it's crazy. It's crazy. And that's what we need in this world, is positivity. It's so easy to get negative, especially with social media and TikTok. And all we need is some positivity and stay focused on that. That's a big part of my daily life. When I get off track, I do a 10 step, and for me that makes me look at the day, what part I played in it, and then I make changes accordingly. But for me, it always comes back to being like attitude of gratitude and where I could be, because sometimes it's never enough. I can, I was shot in a couple times, but the time where I was really injured, I was in the hospital. I had nothing. I was homeless, and now my kids go to private school. I have a few things, and like somehow sometimes it's still not enough. And then I have to be like, hold on, man. Stop the madness. Like you're okay. It's just hard. Like I get so into my grind and helping people and working and effort that like I'll literally fall asleep working, and I work so hard for everybody else, so I can provide opportunity to people in recovery, so that I can hopefully be like a small beacon of hope to people in recovery, to show them that it is possible.
I you were talking about those macro people and looking at the kind of like the trickle down effect, and that's where I see you in like your role. Like you played a part in my life, you played a part in Murph's life, and pretty much we play parts in pretty much every life that we come into contact with, and we don't even realize it. And especially you, man, because whether you know it or not, there's not a lot of business owners out there who have been through what we've been through, right? There's not a lot of people out there who are successful enough, and if they are, they're like celebrities, right? And they're like, yeah, I went to rehab, and like they're doing good, but like they're not like providing services to the community or employing people just like us.
Yeah, and that's what I started out with, the intent. Man, business is such a crazy thing. We were kind of talking before the podcast, and you were getting into the realm of like audio and things that you would need for the podcast, and then we also talked about promotion. Those are two phases, just small phases of business that people have a whole career in. They just master that and they're successful. And I think the podcast for you just keep focusing on that. It seems like you're on your way, like Jacob Huge. I don't know. I've heard the rumor is that the lab has some people held back. So when it comes to subscription time, we're going to need that cheddar. Get your money up, because some of these aren't going to get dropped until you pay up. Like that's just what it is. This man's hard work has to be paid off. But like that's what I've always wanted to do, is help people. And the more farther I get removed, I don't understand. My sponsor, he lives in Vegas, and when he first told me to sponsor somebody, I asked him to sponsor them, and he said he had like 15 years at the time, right? And he said, no, you should sponsor. And I said, why? What do you mean? He's like, well, you have a year, and I'm 15 years removed from the madness. Like it doesn't feel the same to me. Like I don't understand robbing your mom, and you could, and that kind of always made sense to me.
Yeah, I think that's what sets us the tone and sets us apart from regular people. And I'm really lucky that we got to live both sides of the coin.
For sure.
I can't imagine being like a hoity-toity person with like my pinky in the air and I'm blessed to like live the life I did, because I would be oblivious to a lot of things if it wasn't for that, right? And like this, I've been wanting to do this for years, but until I actually had something to talk about and say, right, I would have never done this.
Yeah, and what you're talking about, like having a dream, that's something that everybody should have, especially to people in new recovery, to like think, have a goal, think big, have some small goals too. But I remember listening, I'm going to drop a few names for you. Ready? Matt Bell, Josh Dressel. I remember them telling me what their idea was to do long term, right? And a lot of people were like, man, these mother effers, like, stop the madness, like there's no way that you can do that. And I remember thinking in my head and verbally telling them, yeah, you can do that. Yeah, you should do that. And you should start working on it right now. Now, I played no parts on their success, but again, like watching them live that out and where they came,
Can you imagine if they would have listened to those people?
Dope.
Can you imagine if I listened to my English teacher who told me I was going to be fucking working in McDonald's the rest of my life?
Crazy.
You know, I would have been a part of that madness, right? I would have believed in those insecurities and those self doubts, and I think the person who doubts us the most is ourselves.
Amen. We sure do, and that's a reoccurring thing as you. Sorry about that. As you continue to grow and accomplish, and when this podcast is getting millions of views, you're still, like I was sharing with you before this, to get butt naked honest, you're still gonna have feelings of doubt, fear, all those things are gonna creep in. But the difference is now you have tools that you can figure out before you destroy yourself, which is super cool. And man, it just feels so freaking good to be here in the lab. I've been kind of removed from people because of COVID, and just the vibe is super right, and I appreciate you having me on here.
So I'd really like to get into like this, right? Like we talked about marketing and branding, and I want to know. I know you're successful in your own right, and I want to know, how did you get into owning businesses?
That's a super good question. So I came home from prison. While I was in prison, I decided day one, a lot of things come down to just like a fork in the road. You go left, you go right. Either it seems more complicated, but sometimes it's really that simple. So I got to prison, scared to death. Never thought I'd be there. Never thought I was that guy. And I felt like I had two choices. One, I could assimilate into the prison culture and figure out how I'm going to be a better criminal, and then try to destroy, take over the world in the evil way, or negative, sorry for the word evil, or option two is I can look within myself. I can try to grow as a person. I can try to be positive and change the world, take over the world with the light and the positive way. And so that's what I decided to do. I got out back then, 10 years ago, having a felony, there was no Jacob who...
Death sentence.
Dude, there was a point where I was like, I'm literally never going to work again because I have a felony. And a buddy of mine who was still struggling, this is crazy, the ripple effect. So, he's been in and out, but he needed some people to do fall cleanup for A&J, or his lawn care network, then sold to A&J, which was the final place that I worked. But I remember working for free. I told the dude, like, listen, I'm going to come show you my work ethic. You don't have to give me any money. The owner, after a day, was like, listen, I'm going to pay you. I said, no, I'm going to give you a week for free. And I just worked my butt off. I didn't know how to start a weed whacker, a blower, none of it, right? But I figured it out. I asked questions. The very next year, he sold his company to A&J. Landscaping. I started just weed whacker guy. Then I quickly I had a valid license. I became a crew leader, moved all the way up to where I was like the head of the mowing crews. I think there were 7 at the time. And then winter came. I was on salary. I remember this is crazy. I remember I got a salary around $30K or something, right? Crazy. I'm like, what? I'm like, what? That's so much money. I never thought that. And I was excited.
Yep.
6 months later, winter comes. And I remember at Owens, I worked 20 hours straight. And then they called me. Then I went home to sleep for 4 hours. And they called me and they were like, yeah, you should be here. It's 8 o'clock. And I'm like, dude, I worked 20 hours straight on a Monday. I got 20 hours and I'm on salary. Like, it's not knowing, what's going on. So then I finally realized that, like, maybe I should look for something different. I started reaching out to people in the rooms, and I actually started cleaning the houses of like the old timers. I'd go to their house and I would clean their house. They'd pay me, and I built up enough where I actually had about that 30K of income, make the leap.
And this is pre-internet. This is just word of mouth.
Oh yeah, pre-internet. And so I remember my sponsor, he lives in Vegas now. He said, Josh, like, you got the money. I was still scared. I had enough money doing my own thing on the weekends that I was making during the week. I was still scared. I remember me and A&J, we separated amicably. They even gave me like, a couple weeks pay or something, dap me up with best of luck to you.
Pat on the back and attaboy.
Yeah. But I remember being at the light directly at their shops on Sylvania, and I think it's Sylvania and McCord. I turned into the Kroger parking lot. I called my sponsor and I was like, listen, like, I can't do this. I need the 30K guaranteed for my family, for my children. At this time, I've started to pay child support, got my license, those type of things. But I was just scared, and he said, if you do not continue on your way home and not go back, I'll never talk to you again. That's what he said. And that's powerful, man. I don't have the balls to say that to people, and I did it. And my first year out, it was me and a 92 Toyota Previa. Okay. Shout out to Toyota Previa. They're great.
Them motherfuckers last.
Forever. You can get $500,000 on one of those for sure. But so 2 months in, a senior living community offered me a lawn care seasonal contract for like $2K a month. But it's for all 12 months. So you do snow, you do the whole deal, the whole service, right? So I'm like, okay. I literally had $6,000 to my name. I needed $12,000. I needed a truck, a trailer, all these things that I wasn't prepared for. My mom gave me $6,000. I had $6,000. Found a used truck up in Detroit with the plow on it and the trailer, and then I bought the base model Husqvarna, like light duty commercial. You know what I mean? Now the guys that work for me have $15,000-$20,000 mowers. This was like the $6,000 one, like barely commercial.
Yeah.
The crazy thing is Midwest actually bought that mower from me, and then I bought it back. And that mower, a subcontractor, shout out Danny Witcher, my brother, he's still mowing on that. So like I've destroyed probably 5 mowers since then, but that OG mower is still out here somewhere right now getting money. And then from there, I started to. Things went crazy. Like in Toledo's market, for anybody interested in business, if you just pick one thing and you're proficient at it, you'll be successful. And the reason for that is there's so much other stuff going on that nobody will answer the phone. Like you can call somebody like, I need drywall repair, leave them 10 messages and they won't call you back. But if you're just proficient at what you do, if you stick to podcasting and you do a good job and increase your setup and the lab is the place to be, like you'll be so shocked at the success that you have. And so that's what I was. I was always available 24 hours a day. If you wanted me to come pick up dog shit, that's what I was doing. And I was doing it.
What I got from your story and listening is for one, the working for free, right? Just putting in the elbow grease and putting forth the effort and showing up, dude, is half the battle. Amen. For anything in life, right? Sure. Just like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna work hard. I'm gonna try my best, right? And then the other thing that I noticed, right, is that guy being like, you better do this, pushing you out the nest, right? Hey, learn how to fly, and those moments, right, like are where, like, I used to think luck played a real big role in success. Like people just got lucky, right? No, dude, they work for it. Like people who put the hard work and the effort in get dividends. They get returns on those gains. And for a long time, I was just too scared to succeed. Right? Yeah, I was just scared of it. I was like, man, what if I fail? Well, so the fuck what?
Hey, man, pick yourself back up. And truth be told, like, I failed at a ton of stuff. You know what I mean? The recording studio didn't work out the way I wanted to. I could name you 10 failures. I guess, not to contradict your point, I'm going to say the term lucky, but just know there was a ton of hard work. The first thing that I did took off. It gave me the confidence to be able to fail, if that makes sense. Because I already had a stable income. I already was providing for other people. Then I started to think, let me try some different stuff. And that's where Living Proof came from. And some of these other ventures that I'm involved with came from. So I really didn't even have it as tough as you. And that makes me look up to you because I don't know if lucky's the right term, but I hit on my first shot, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so I didn't have to face the adversity, and I think the same thing will happen to you. But I didn't know that I could fail and pick myself up from that. And the fact that you do know that is a wonderful thing. It makes me smile on the inside.
It's I think maybe lucky, maybe right place, right time.
Amen.
You know what I mean? Like, and as you were talking about all that, man, like I look at like so many things in my life that like relationships, jobs, anything that just wasn't the right time for me, and I wanted it, but I had to wait my turn.
Right.
You know what I mean? I had to stand in line. I had to do some hard work. I had to put forth the effort. Like, I've been wanting to do this for 5 years, right?
So,
and so now I'm finally doing it. But like when I look back at those 5 years, right? And my friend pointed this out to me, but it rings true. I had money 5 years ago, right? I could have did
no
this.
gold chain on your neck. Is that what you're saying?
You know what I mean? I had money 5 years ago that I could have put towards this, but I didn't. Right. And so it just wasn't the right time for me. Just that's all that is, right? And it's amazing hearing you talk about where you came from, because I never knew you went to prison.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I never knew you got shot.
A couple times stabbed.
Stabbed.
Couple staples. Yeah, I come from a bad socioeconomic background for sure. Yeah.
I think a lot of us do, and then if you're not in a bad socioeconomic background, you get into one
for sure,
right?
For sure. They're gonna exploit that. You know, they look for the rich people to come to wherever they're at, and they want to pull you down and abuse you until you're on their level. Like, it's crazy, man. The streets are crazy for people like you were talking about being grateful that we're not Karens, for lack of a better word. They don't even understand the griminess that goes on in the streets, and that it really is like a dog eat dog world. You know, like, it's crazy the things that, you know, people have seen and done. And I don't usually share that openly, especially now that it kind of sucks. Like, when you get a certain level of success, you really shouldn't, or it'd be wise not to share that stuff. Sure. If you get what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, it's crazy that, like, that's a huge part of me, and I have to silence a part of me because, like, now I'm in the room with different type people. You know what I mean? Like, and then when I do share, some of them are.
Oh my God, he was shot.
That's exactly right. And then they'll distance themselves from you. So you have to be careful. Once you do get success, they have to find a way not to be fake and be yourself, but also, like, filter yourself a little bit more in certain situations, which is something that I was terrible at the beginning, you know, because I'm so real that I just want to tell everybody my story. Well, some people that don't have our struggle, that shit doesn't make no sense to them. You know, yeah, it's scary to them.
I think about, like, rappers when we talk about stuff like that, because it's like, you always see, like, the successful upcoming rapper dude who just can't get away from the streets, right? Like, they just can't get their hands out of the pot, and they're hanging out with a bunch of losers.
For sure.
And the losers are just dragging them back down. Yeah. And they're and you know, you see it all the time, and that rings true for everything. I really think the people you have in your circle, the people you have in your corner, like, you need to protect that.
For sure.
You know, because in the streets where we come from, you know, living out there, it's your homies who will rob you.
For sure.
You know, who know where you live.
Steal your $20 and then help you look for it.
Yeah. Hours, dude. Carpet surfing, you're like, I don't know where it went, man. It's right in their pocket, dude.
Crazy. And I agree with you. Like, Mom, I love you. I love you so much. You were right partially right when you said you are who you hang out with, you know, and as we grow, we get to pick that and eliminate certain things. It's hard, though. Funny thing is that clicked in my mind. I'm going to share this really quick. So maybe 3-4 years ago, I'm really bad with time. That I have all my kids' birth dates tatted on me, that just so I can remember, because I'm bad with time, because I'm so in the grind that half the time I don't know what day it is. I'm just trying to eat and create lanes for people like us. But a friend that I grew up with, you know, a childhood friend, said you got lucky on a Facebook post where I was, you know, not bragging but saying, like, you can do this too. He was saying how I got lucky, and the person that defended me was Matt Bell, and, like, he got super defensive with my friend on my behalf, because he saw me work for it. You know, he saw how hard that I did, and he told me that it wasn't luck. And I remember I'm still okay with that person, you know, but like that was one of my best friends, and I had to be okay with like he's on that, and you know, I'll speak to him, I'll talk to him, but who I give my time to, that changes, you know. And I want to have those positive people. I want my sponsor around me. I want you around me. I want people that lift me up and not pull me down like you're talking about. And those, it's hard sometimes though, because we're loyalty runs deep with us, and it's like if you cut those people off, you're a bad person. But to use the rapper, should he have cut those dudes off? Yes. ASAP. He would have. I mean, there's no question about it. And there's always somebody there in sheep and wolves clothing that you think is all about you and got your back, and really they're just plotting. And that's crazy, and it's hard to understand because I would never do that, but I had to learn that lesson the hard way, you know.
Successful people just want to see you succeed. Like someone who's like got it, they don't charge for it. They want other people to have it.
Amen.
They give free game. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, we've been talking about that confidence. Like, hey, if you do it, you do it. But chances are, I'm not sure if you're going to, right? And really, what it comes down to, like that feast or famine mentality.
Yeah.
Right. So like the people who see you succeed, they're like, "What a crock of shit, dude." You know, they want to put it on a chance thing or you just got lucky thing, and that's only because they didn't work as hard as you. They weren't there in that moment. They didn't do it. They didn't succeed. So then it's, you know what? He just had a chance and he got lucky. And that's just not the case, man. You know, there's a reason why there's people who succeed, right?
Sure.
I think about, I had a traumatic brain injury when I was 12 years old.
Really?
Yeah. And, I got operated on, and this wasn't because I had fucking Medicaid insurance as growing up as a kid. So this wasn't because I had outstanding insurance or my family was rich. It just so happened the neurologist who did my surgery was the best in Ohio.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So I couldn't be any luckier because there was a kid the same night who got life flighted with the same injury as me, but lesser circumstances, and he's dead.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Ooh, that gave me chills.
And the other doctor, the neurologist, operated on him, right? Not my doctor. My doctor operated on me.
Wow.
So people want to say, "Oh, you just got lucky. It was just a chance thing." No, dude. People were in the right position at the right time, and you grabbed the bar and took it.
Amen.
And that's something that I'm really keen on. Can't nobody take nothing from me, because like once you start to really know who you are as a person, I don't give a fuck what anyone thinks. You know. Once I feel something in my bones, in my soul about me as a person, of course, everyone has insecurities. But once I know, like you can't tell me.
Once you take it in and you know, and that's who you are. You can't tell Killer Cam nothing, and I agree. And let's take this time out. You need to hit the subscribe button. We've had some very good content on here. If you haven't got chills, if you haven't been led to thinking about some things from this podcast, then just stop, turn this off, go jump off a bridge because you're dead inside. Cam is down here in the lab putting it together, and you need to hit this subscribe button and listen. He is doing his thing, and you need to, like people always, one of the things that a lot of people ask me about is MBK. So the reason that I'm so close to them is I got in early. And that's what people need to do with you. They need to get on this train right now so that when he is the top podcaster in the nation, he'll answer your call. Because if you don't subscribe right now, then you're not going to get all those goodies. This is your time to have direct access to him, because you're going to lose it pretty soon. I promise you that.
Me and Josh are cooking up recipes right now.
Woo.
We're stirring the pot.
Amen.
Come join us.
To touch on the thing that you talked about, successful people that they'll tell you to get. So I was in this meeting. A friend of mine is a huge investor on a large scale across 10 states, owns thousands of properties, right? That was one of my mentors. We've partnered up on a couple businesses / projects. So very close person to me that helped me ascend to where I'm at. Somebody I still look up to this day. I see a lot of people rise to a certain level and then they get disconnected from the hand that brought them up, and so they kind of stay at that level. So I encourage everybody to always have somebody that you do look up to, and that's willing to put their hand down, pull you up, that's willing to give you information. And when those people take the time out, like, appreciate it. You know what I mean? But I was sitting in this meeting with this super rich dude, bringing my friend to possibly invest into a new venture, a real estate deal. And we're all talking just open and honest like this, good vibe, same thing, same table, just a different location and no microphones and no mixer or whatever that fancy thing is, but and no laptop. We're just talking. He's trying to sell my friend, who I'm presenting to him, on investing in this fund which buys real estate. And so he was explaining the process. And then I interrupted him because I'm super passionate, annoying, and like I dominate situations sometimes. And like I've had to learn how to listen more. That's one of my big time character flaws. So I interrupted him and said, but you don't, I thought I was saving him, but you don't want to like tell him how to do it, right? And the guy was like, yeah, I'm going to tell you exactly how to do it. The problem is you can't do it without me. And I was like, whoa. So the funny thing is, I invested and my friend didn't. That's the funny thing. He chose not to, but like that, I love what he said. And I'm like, okay, I'm in. And I signed a check for $25K and gave it to him on the spot. And my friend passed, crazy.
So I'm filing Chapter 7 because of old medical bills.
Yeah.
I'm never going to pay them back. I just know I'm not. And so I'm filing Chapter 7. But if I was not filing Chapter 7 right now and the auditors weren't going to come after me for 3 months of my records, I would be investing heavily in stocks right now.
Yeah.
I would be investing my money. For sure.
Bitcoin is going crazy.
Did you see Dogecoin?
I haven't. You can get me hip to that for sure.
So Tesla is going to be joining the S&P 500.
Yeah, Tesla. That dude just became the richest dude in America, correct? I think he beat the Amazon dude. If you Google it, I think the majority shareholder of Tesla is now the richest person in America. Killer Cam's looking it up in the lab to fact check. Yep. Joshua.
Gotta fact check that, Gotta make sure we're giving the people what they need. Yes, Tesla CEO Elon Musk is now the wealthiest person, U.S.
Crazy.
Media.
And so it's not Amazon, it's not Bill Gates. Crazy. You can do it too. Listen, you can do it too.
Tesla overtook Amazon boss Jeff Bezos to become the world's wealthiest person, U.S. Media reported Thursday.
Crazy.
So he's joining the S&P 500, and the CEO of Dogecoin, basically it's like a Bitcoin, kind of like a cryptocurrency shoot-off. Yeah. So I believe when he goes into the S&P 500, he has to put all of his money into an actual currency to be able to be invested in, right? And the Dogecoin person was just like, the CEO was like, you should invest in Dogecoin. So I'm not sure if he's still going to do it, but Tesla was talking about investing all of his money on the S&P 500 to the Dogecoin.
Yeah, and that's what that bit of information for your audience, that should be enough for you to do the research and get involved on your own. Like, you're not going to be given it. You can keep playing the lottery, but you're probably not going to win it. But playing it, that's what you want to do. But you have to take kernels of knowledge and explore it, and figure it out for yourself. And don't be scared to fail.
Can you imagine if the people who are, I've never been a scratch off guy. I never have. I never, I think I gambled twice. Nice. And I was I was deep in drug addiction, and I had like $20 and I went to the high roller slot machines, and I put my last $20 in there and I hit for 100 and left. just ran out of that fucking place. I'm like, I gotta go. Right? I gotta go now. And what I'm saying, can you imagine if people just, there's stocks out there for $20, $40 a share. If you just put your $20, $40, $10, whatever the case may be, into a share and just watch it grow over time, what that could do for you instead of just ripping off scratch-offs at your local stop and go.
Crazy thing is, you can do it right from your Cash App. Like that, you can do it right from your Cash App and throw 20 into Bitcoin or any of the cryptocurrencies or even stocks for a no transaction fee. You can take that little bit of side money and invest it like you're talking about, and I agree. Now, I do want to comment on gambling though, because that's something that's always been a little bit controversial when you bring my name up, and so I want everybody to be clear on my view on gambling.
Okay.
You can be addicted to gambling just like anything else. Anything not in moderation is bad. However, like I hate to be the guy. There's people I know that crossed our line and now they just drink beer and literally live a normal life. They're few. They're 1.05%. But I know a few. And I think that in new recovery, playing with gambling is like playing with fire. I really do. But the way I look at gambling now, I don't play scratch offs. I play 2 games. And I'm very religious. In the beginning, I kept a diary. And so I'd take $20 and I'd go play a penny slot with the $20. But in my budget, I kept the budget of every penny me and my wife made. That was what I chose to use on my entertainment expense. And if you are going to gamble, which you shouldn't get into that, but if you do, look at it like it's entertainment. And that's how I looked at it then, and I've continued to do that now. Now my $20, my entertainment budget's grown. Okay? It's not $20 anymore. But I still look at it the same way. I still look at it as entertainment. If I lose whatever I took, and I'm never going to go over that amount. That's one thing that I said. As soon as I go back to the ATM, my $20, if I go to get another 20 out, I'll stop. And I never did. And if I ever do, I still hold that same value. If I'm ever $1,000 in and I go take out another 200, I'll cut myself off and ban myself. And you can ban yourself from the casino, and that might not be a bad idea. You just tell them
You can ban yourself from a casino?
Yeah, yep. And if you go in, you'll get arrested. You can do a year on a yearly basis, or you can do a lifetime ban. Yeah. You just tell them, like, I've had enough. I tap out, and they'll ban you. And I know a lot of people that are banned, to be honest.
I never knew that.
Yeah, and they drive to Detroit.
Holy, the more you know, dude. I can never gamble because I'm not stingy with money.
Yeah, you're smart with that.
But dude, if I just had to give someone, like I remember my one buddy's like, he added me to a group, and I'm like, what's this group about? He's like, my fantasy football league. And I said, I don't want to be a part of it. And he says, why not? I said, because I don't know what I would do if I had to give you $50. Right. I don't like to lose.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, I don't want to be put in the position where like I gotta angrily hand this guy $100 or $50 or $20.
Amen. And I respect and love that and that's what I like about you. That's your truth, and I feel it. And if you weren't inclined enough to make that your recreation, and it didn't equal $50 worth of recreation for you, don't do it. Mm-hmm. Do not do it. And if you would have looked at that like it was worth, like $50 to be in this league, cool. But till it reaches that point, I agree with you, and you should be smart with your money and not reckless. There is an opposite side. So I'm gonna give you one quick example. So me and my wife, we go gamble a lot on date night. We haven't been in probably 4 months now, more because she doesn't like it. So as I've grown, like that was kind of like my last hanger-on thing that I had in our marriage. And so she finally's like, dude, I just go because you want to go, So I've changed that because what's more important than my wife, right? Mm. But maybe 6 months ago, we're just doing our thing, and I always used to tell her, which is what the crackhead gambler, for lack of better terms, always says. Eventually we're gonna. Eventually, that's what they all say, and then they ban themselves, and then they go to Detroit and they're ban themselves. But we're sitting there, $200. That was our budget at the time. We're hitting the button, right? Nothing happened on the screen, but just bing, 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 bing. All these lights and stuff. $9,800. Crazy. Dude, I legitimately jump up. Okay, we're in the high, like you said, you're $20. We're in the high roller suite. I start tearing clothes off, like running on. This is like 6 months ago, bro. And she's like, Josh, if you don't stop, we're not going to get this jackpot and you're going to go to jail. And I was like, okay. Like, I completely stopped because I really thought, I was like, I didn't think, I said it that one day we'll win, but we finally won. And then the other thing is, like, those logs, I was meticulous about them. And so I'd show her every now and then. My wife's my biggest critic. And I say, look, I've won $3,000 in 6 months, and now I don't keep up to date on the log like I used to. But I haven't been there. Like, I just dropped it because of my wife, so I haven't gambled since then. I don't play the lottery. And the bad thing about the lottery in Ohio, in my opinion, is the percentage that the business owners get is very minute. So if you own a gas station, you get like 1% of lottery sales. Michigan's much higher, like 7 or 8%. But and not that much goes to the schools. Like if you look at the number and the design thing, I think the Ohio lottery has it wrong in my opinion. But I don't play the lottery though.
I like casinos for the atmosphere.
The vibe.
Yeah, the vibe is like I'll go to a casino and have like one of their meals. That's like fine. And then I like playing blackjack too. I'll enjoy some blackjack tables. I'm an avid poker player.
Nice.
You know what I mean? So like that's cool. And yeah, dude, have fun, be entertained, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I when you were talking about your wife being your biggest critic, I'm starting to get that. So I'm getting engaged. I'm engaged.
Congratulations. What?
Yeah, dude. And she's a wonderful girl, and I'm telling you what. It took me a long time to realize her criticisms weren't to be mean.
Crazy.
They were to help me.
Right.
You know, because I could never, whenever someone used to criticize me in my life, it was always because I was like, hey, this is wrong, you fucked up, and you need to fix it.
Right?
Yeah. And finally I got someone who just like tells me what they think and an honest opinion, right?
And you know they're about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's such a good thing. It's such a good like tool to be having my tool belt to be like, should I run this by the lady? And usually she'll just give me some like, you know, and you can take it as it comes, take it, you know, yes or no or what you know, if you feel it, you feel it. If you don't, you don't. But dude, it's crazy, man, because I think behind, you know, the group of successful people that we're talking about or who's in your corner, as men, right? As men, there's nothing better than having a good partner behind you.
It equals life success. Like, I'm not going to lie, for myself personally, without Jessica, I would be dead, man. And she is the balancing factor and the person that always makes me improve and look at internally. It's her. And that she sometimes she does it in a spiteful way. I love you, babe. Sometimes she has to grab my attention, you know. Sometimes she has to do some stuff that is a little bit more difficult than whispering in my ear. But I still love her all the same, you know, and to have that experience. There's so many people, successful millionaire people, that have killed themselves because they had nobody that loved them. So for you, congratulations that you're going to get engaged and that you have that person in your life, because so many people live their whole life and don't have that, and dollars can't buy you that. You know what I mean? Like that's. I made a post. I was listening to Gary Vee. Shout out Gary Vee. Like he's super inspirational.
He is. People don't like him, but I think he's great.
Dude, I love him. And like if I was in your business, I'd really watch him because he's become so successful from podcasts and video casting and speaking and stuff like that. But he said your return on investment should be happiness. And that just blew me away, you know, because I don't, my main source of income, I don't really like it anymore, you know. And so what he was saying is, what you invest your time and money in should make you happy. That's the goal. It's not money. That comes usually secondarily, but you should make you happy.
I've spoken to millionaires, and I've also listened to this blew my mind once I figured this out, right? Because like, I always thought like I needed to go to college and I needed to get a great job and I needed to have at least $100K job. And so I remember I got sober and I started working like not a dead end job, but a minimum wage job, right? But I still paid all my bills.
Amen.
Right. And then I kept kind of like moving up on rungs and I'm at this position where I'm at. And it's enough money, right? But all of a sudden my bills start getting higher.
More money, more
you know, I take that fucking shitty Buick and cash it in for a finance lease, right? Or a finance car loan. And I'm like, fuck, $331. Right? And then I'm like, oh, this apartment's kind of small.
Right.
I want to go somewhere else, right? And that's the thing. I've talked to people who are wealthy, but you know, they still are spending that money that they have on their lifestyle for their own happiness.
Yeah.
You know, and I think money's just a peace of mind, man.
It is.
When I think of success, I think of someone who is happy with their life.
Yeah. I think that most people get it wrong. And I think like in the beginning, what you think of visually when you're freshly clean, when you're freshly home from prison, what you think successful is, what you visualize in your brain is something different, and it usually involves money and monetary items. I think as you go along this journey, then you start to realize that real happiness. I used to always talk about this in the meeting. Let me get this in real quick. Dan Mikowacek, that's his name, my sponsor, right? Lives in Vegas. He told this was his hook. He never gave up on me. He kicked in doors like he was old school. He's physically assaulted me to get my attention. Okay, so real dude. Like that's how that I needed that.
Yeah.
So he told me, listen, you've relapsed so many times. He said, listen, if you just give me a year, listen to me, let me make all your major decisions, consult me for everything for a year. I promise you, you write down whatever you want after a year, you'll get it. So I'm like, yeah, yes, Dan, I agree. I wrote it out. In my brain, it was like a rap video, like money flying, booties bouncing, bottles popping, that's what I thought of. And at the year, we sat down and we talked. And he said, did you get what you asked for? And I forgot about the goal. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, I'm like, I did. And then he's like, what's that face for? I'm like, well, it's not what I wrote down. And he said, yeah, that's the beauty of it. And he said, now I know you understand where I'm coming from. He said, what made you happy? And I told him I'm healthy. I have a relationship with my children. I'm building a business, all positive stuff that had nothing to do with the fancy car or any of that stuff, but when you're just out of detox, like I feel like for some reason that's what my mind went to, as in successful, but that doesn't mean anything.
How do you keep your work life? Because this is a conversation I was having with my fiance's.
What's her name? Drop it.
No, it's personal. My personal life. You know what I mean? I was talking to my fiance's dad, and we were talking just about life. And this is something that took me a long time to realize. Everyone's faking it. Like for the most part, like people know how to do certain things, but like on the whole adulting tip and like, kids and, bills and just the whole kibosh of everything. Everyone's just fucking faking the shit, and that's not to say they're bad at it. It's just that like you can't be a father or a mother until you're in the situation.
Sure.
And how have you managed to balance your work life and your family life? Because I see you post with your kids. You came right in at 1 o'clock. You said, all right, I got to be out here 2:30. Right? And which like makes sense. You're like, oh, yeah, I got to go to my kids' confirmation. And I'm like, okay, yeah, dope, man. How do you balance that with work? Because I know how I feel, 8 hours a day at work. And then, like, for example, last night, 8 hours a day at work. Came home, cleaned, went back to work for 3 hours. Got here, sat with you, and now I got all these other things on my list to do today, right? So how do you tend to balance all of that in your life, man? Because as we get bigger and grow, so do our responsibilities,
That's a very good question. I love that you said no. I'm not saying her name, and that because boundaries are important, play into what we're talking about. That's what you just said. That's not for the podcast. You really didn't finish your thought about your fiance. Are you saying that like she's saying like you need to give more time to me?
No, it's just I can't imagine doing the things that we do adulting and then adding kids into the mix. A bigger house, right? More work, right? I just like and that's what I see, right? Because like this is like, I'm not sure how long. I'm not sure. Were you with Jess before you had kids?
So I was with Jack. Listen to this. Let's talk about Jess and let's talk about Baylor. So me and Jess, my oldest son is 18. He works for me. His name is Thomas Eugene Elchert III. He was named after my father who killed himself. My father was a junior.
Rest in peace.
I had a kid with a girl named Rosa Duran. We were together during high school. But me and Jess actually went to senior prom together in 1998. Okay, and then we were on and off. I had Thomas around her. We got back together during addiction. I actually got Jess like the first time that she did a drug beyond like what you would consider social was with me. I drug her down. I went to prison. She started to get better. While I was there, she wrote me two times. I came home. I was lucky enough in the old EFE building. It used to be called the VOA.
Yeah, the OVOA.
Yeah, so I got an opportunity to do my last 6 months there, which it was a crazy environment. It was just like prison, you know. It was drug dealers and drug users. There was two people there that dropped clean the whole time. I was one of them. You know, there was open drug use and drug selling there, and there was little to no consequences. We started talking again, and we're building a relationship. And then she gets pregnant. Okay.
That's so much. You know what I mean? That's like just dropping that load, like just putting that on your shoulders. Hey, I just got the VOA. Yeah, newly sober. I, got a kid already, and then boom, pregnant. Right.
Hey, here's the crazy part. If you want to get deep on this, the kid turns out not to be mine. My oldest daughter, Luciana Ruth Elchert, while we're talking and I'm at the VOA, she's at an NA conference. She she has relations with the guy. He's gone. We can't find him. The baby comes out. Find out it's not mine. Crazy. Call my sponsor. He said, you have two choices. You can leave her or you can forgive her. But if you forgive her, you really have to forgive her, and you can never talk about it again, and you just have to move forward. And that's what I did. And that's moments like that are where these things that we've learned can't come into play, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now the struggle is, at the time, I didn't know if I was going to stay with her. It made us stronger. There's no way to find the guy. A lot of people are going to be thinking about that. We've tried to find him mostly so Luciana has a chance to know her biological father, but because of the anonymous portion of this program, made him so we couldn't find him because it was at an NA convention, and it's not like you're giving your first and last name and social security number, so it's kind of crazy. And then since then, we've had 2 children, so I have four children, and then we have a total for one source, not talking about any of the other entities, 52 employees, which are all like kids / brothers, cousins, and all that. But to answer your question on how I balance business and personal, the honest answer is it's a work in progress. And I think it's always going to be that way until I reach a level where I can just be out and my investments do what they do and I just work from home. But you have to be creative. You have to fake it till you make it. Like our house, we're doing an addition to bring my mom home. We're adding on space.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's very cool. Very cool. And the fact that my wife let me bring my mom home, that speaks to their relationship and who they are. But so right now our house is a super disaster, and we were laughing with each other last night and about how we're failing in all these ways. Like you mentioned, you got to clean the house, you have to do this, you have to do that. And like the one thing that we both agreed that we were doing right was parenting. Mm-hmm. And so for us and me, through her, she's changed my focus to be all about the kids. And then the rest becomes secondary. But you have to really swallow that and internalize it and let that play out to fully get it. And what that looks like is I might leave office at noon, go get a child, and then do their COVID homework and submit it and be a teacher. And she might be screaming in the background while I'm on a conference call with putting a deal together. Like, that's just what it is. And the good thing about One Source, though, is that we really are a family, man. Like, to say it on social media versus like live in it, it's hard to explain. But my mom's there. Her office is next to mine. Jeff, not left Zeph, she works for me now full time. Elchert. Jessica Smith has been with us forever, and I have all those people around me. And without them, I wouldn't be able to be a father. I have to empower people and then not micromanage them.
That's so my family owned a business. Nice. My grandma owned it for I want to say until 2012.
Nice.
And she bought a little hole in the wall bar back in the 70s, and she turned it into like a family dining restaurant out in Swan. And something I noticed that she could never do that I really wish she would have gave my dad a chance on is is letting go, right?
Yeah.
And we're like, Grandma, times changed.
Right.
We got to start selling quarter beers.
Right.
And my grandma's like a godly woman, and she's like, no. And as I try to learn everything I can from a situation, no matter what position I'm in. And so, as of right now, I'm kind of like in the middle management position in my life.
Yeah, nice.
And I'm starting to realize that my job is to make little me's.
Yeah.
And the guy ahead of me is trying to make little hims so he doesn't have to work as hard.
Sure.
And I'm trying to make little me's so I don't have to work that hard.
That's it.
And then the guy all the way up at the top is trying to make someone for him so he can do his job better. Because like if your team around you is doing a good job, well, you reap the benefits.
That's true.
You're the one who looks good because you're the one who trained them. You're the one who gave them the knack, the know-how to do the things they needed to do. And for me, when I think about, we talked about people, giving free game and a good moniker of success is the people who are successful that might work for them or might be around them. Because if I can't teach someone how to do what I do I even know how to do what I do?
That's true. Good point. And the thing is, like, let's look at where you work. The best thing that they can do, again, like I just got hip to Gary Vee, but he talks about a similar thing. The best thing they can do, it's funny how like some of my principles line up with like bigger people's thing. I never knew who they were, and then I'm like, oh, I kind of do that, which is cool, which is why you should listen to this podcast and why you should look for other channels to get.
And let me scratch Josh's back when I say this. I have never heard one of Josh's employees speak bad about him.
Well, they do.
But I don't care if they do, right? Because the good always outshines the bad, right?
Yeah.
And I've always heard, Josh is a stand-up guy. He's done this for me. He's done this for me. He's done that for me. And that's the truth, right? That's the truth, is that you go out of your way for people on a daily basis.
Yeah, I do it. I'll do anything to help somebody, especially if you work for me. I've had to limit it a little bit. Like we talked about that mainline time, the most spiritual time was that time. But what was the conflict then is the same conflict now. My wife was like, Josh, you got 4 kids, buddy. So I had to back that down a little bit. But you're right. I mean, I still bail people out of, don't tell anybody. I still bail people out of jail. I still help them get their attorneys. I still help them get their license. I still find somewhere for them to live. I still try to breathe life into them. But I've limited it to more like people that I come in contact with on a daily basis. Because I can't fight the good fight and save everybody. So now I feel like once you cross my path, that's when you were speaking about timing earlier. Before mainline time, I thought I could save everybody. Now I kind of just wait till we cross paths, and then that's when I attack, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so back to your original point, though, wherever you work, this place, the best thing they can do is give you enough so that you're happy, challenge you so that you're engaged in your job, and then exactly what you said is how you grow a business. You make 100 U's, and then you just multiply that. Doesn't matter what the business is. And I totally agree. If you can't train somebody to do what you do, then you really don't know how to do it. But that's what business is. And there's a fine line. I've given up ownership in 2 employees in my business because I value them, and I saw that without them, there would be this big cool thing to talk about. And so I've done that. And then when you add in partners, so like let's say that me and you are partners in a business, you might not be heavily involved. I want to give employee X 5% ownership of the company, right? You disagree. What do? Like, I've really been in some of those business like tough decisions, and then have to balance it and keep the employee / family member happy. But with the really good people, the battle is how do you keep them? Like that, and that's what your company should be focused. How do we keep them?
Yeah, I think I really truly believe this, right? When we talk about measures of success and growing a business, you're either gonna push me up or push me out. You know what I mean? Like if someone's better for the job than me, have my job, dude.
Yeah.
demote me, promote me within, take me to a different department, whatever the case may be, right? Because if they deserve it more than me, fine. They worked harder than me. They got it. They got whatever it is. And I think that's what most people's like viewpoint is like different. Like you've probably experienced it where there's like a guy who thinks he's the best at everything he does, and he might be in a position of authority, but there's some guy who's way better than him, right? And he's more what you're looking for, and the guy's and you know the guy's like treating the other guy like crap.
Right.
You know, because he's scared. Really, he's just fearful. He's fearful of the situation he's in. He's like, oh, man, I got to start working a little harder now.
Right.
You know?
Or make him look bad, you know, like try to make him appear to look bad. Like those are some of the battles that you have to wade through and go through. And again, like it's gotten to the point for me where I'm no longer the best person suited to do that. And I literally gave up HR control in the aspect that like somebody tells me who I can and cannot interact with. As crazy as that sounds. Mm-hmm. Because my biggest problem is like, if you didn't have a shirt on right now, I will take this shirt off and I'm going to give it to you and then I'm going to go home. But eventually, if I do that, I'll never have any shirts. You know? So I have people have insulated me so that they have to make those decisions for me, and then I completely trust them. And more than just HR business, there's other business decisions that I'm no longer the best person to make those decisions because of my perspective, because of my heart, and I've proven time and time again that I'm not the right person to make them. Now, am I still good at sales? Am I still good at getting the big fish? Absolutely. And to be honest, that's what I like. In my end game, all I want to do is help people start businesses. That's all I want to do. I don't even care if I make money. I just want to be wealthy enough where I can help people start businesses and show them my experience. And then they take it and run with it because that's what I love to do. I'm working with a guy right now. Same lane is kind of what we're talking about. He's a very talented music producer. And I'm working with him. We meet weekly. It just went to every other week. It's kind of like business therapy, let's call it. He's finally gotten to the point in his business therapy where he doesn't have to come weekly anymore. He comes every other week, okay? Like he's really getting it. He's rocking. And like he's getting ready to do a studio and all these things. And I can't really talk about it in most places because I don't want it to be like, I struggle sometimes with like, I help people and then they get on and they don't say thank you. And sometimes that hurts, you know? So I've tried to approach it from the way, like, I'm just not going to talk about it. I'm going to help this person and give them whatever they want and then not talk about it, have no reservations and expect nothing in return. But that's what I want. That's all I want to do. I just want to help people to, like, do their thing, whatever it is, and for their return on investment to equal happiness.
I think a thank you isn't a lot to ask for. I think, you know, for the most part, people forget. Right. And that's just like the big thing. Like they get busy with life and they forget. And then, you know, but what's more than that is that you can say you played a part in that, which is just amazing that you're even in a position to just even play a part in that. And I really feel like as I grow and as you grow and as everyone grows, everyone prospers. That's the whole idea of this right here, man. I just want to give people a platform to be able to talk about whatever they want to talk about.
Yeah, that's great. The funny thing is all I want to talk about is you and how do we make you better and get this thing up and running. And maybe that's not best to be done here. The one thing that I would try to plug if I was plugging for myself is the Living Proof brand itself. So we do a clothing line.
That brand is dope, bro.
Thank you.
I'm listen, the black and red lion hoodie, dude. Oh my God, dude. I seen that. I was envious. I seen it back when I was not living the way I was now. You know, I was just like, man, that'd be dope. You know? Those black, was it like red and gray?
Yep. And so that's a perfect segue, Killer Cam, in the lab to tell you what I need for Living Proof. What I need is some fresh blood, somebody to take it to where it needs to go. I need help. That's what I'm asking for on this podcast. I need people to get involved. We have this established thing that I can only give a certain amount of time for. I need somebody, I think, now that I'm talking it out, to come in and just sink it home. You know, we have a good thing in place, but I'm so wrapped up doing other deals now that it kind of just sits. But that's what I'm most passionate about. And the brand is just simply anybody that's overcome any life adversity, which we all, you know, most people have. Some people, very lucky, they haven't, but, you know, addiction, mental health, all physical disabilities. You know, we have one of my favorite employees doesn't even live by himself. He has to live at a place where they care for him. He's autistic, older gentleman, dude. His heart is so pure. Like the dude called on Thursday. He hasn't been able to work because of COVID. You know, his caretaker brings him, he works, and then he picks him back up, but he hasn't been able to work, so we sent him some swag, you know, and he got it.
Yeah.
And he got it, and he called, and he was just so thankful and pure of heart, and like wanted to come back to work. And like, I didn't take the phone call because I don't answer the phone anymore, thank God. But just hearing the conversation unplayed was like such a gratifying thing, and like putting him in a living proof hoodie and you know 2 years ago, and like seeing the smile on his face, and then who knows, once he got back to where he lived, when you know I could only imagine, they're like, oh Mike, that's so cool, but I don't have the time to give. So what I need, I have two partners, Jessica Smith and Sly. What we need is somebody that's passionate about a brand like Living Proof, that can come and do day-to-day operations and give fresh ideas and make sales and things like that we don't, all of us, we don't really have time to be honest with you. But other than that, I want to plug the lab. Like, this is what the vibe here is crazy. I want to encourage anybody listening. If he hits you up, you need to come here. You need to sit down and you need to be a part of this. Because again, to rewind to earlier, there's going to be come a point in time where you're like, hey, Cam, I want to talk to you, but you weren't one of the early people. Don't be mad when he doesn't call you back. This is your opportunity. Calling all cards. Jump on the train now.
I love the Living Proof brand. I think it's one of those brands that's interchangeable, especially in our community, man.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, if you have a knack for branding, for marketing, for anything, hop on Josh's board.
Yeah, that's what I really need. And other than that, man, I'm just grateful to be here and be with you. And the invitation like struck me, and like I was explaining to my kids, to take it back to the part where we said, how do you balance it? I focus on the kids first. So I'm explaining to my children, and they're like, huh? What are you going to talk about? I'm like, I don't know, but I'm going to go to the lab because it's Cam, and I'm going to speak from my heart. And my wife, you know, to touch on that part, and your fiance, she's like, Josh, well, you know, you always put 100 on 2 and try to upsell, and I'm like, yeah, but I don't lie. And she's like, yeah, but you kind of like emphasize the wrong thing. She's like, be careful about that. And I said, listen, I'm going to pray before I go in here. Then I'm gonna be myself, and hopefully he can edit out. Hopefully he can edit out anything that you're talking about. But I can't. I feel like I had to come into this one unfiltered, off the cuff, and just speak my mind. And then if I said anything ridiculous, hopefully we can take it out. But I had to be me. I felt like, and I don't get that opportunity. But I wanted to. I didn't want to like be business guy. I just wanted to be Josh with you, if that makes sense.
Yeah, man, that's all I wanted, man. And I got a great. I'm so glad you were here because I got a real good understanding of you now, more so, man, than the persona that I see, right? And that's why I really do this, man, so I can get to know people. You want me to shout out the businesses real quick?
Oh, you can.
So listen, dude, for any lawn care needs, you like those green and white lines in your lawn. You like nice flower beds. You like nice flowers, right? You want to smell the roses in a nice new home. You're going to hit up One Source Total Property Solutions. And then if you need that nice new home cleaned, Because sometimes you move into a home and that home is dirty. It's dingy. The people who were living there that you bought it from, they left it a mess. They left their furniture in there. The refrigerator, gosh, dude, you don't even want to take that downstairs. If that's the case, you're going to hit up TLC cleaning. And then on top of that, if the clothes you were wearing when you were sitting there waiting for TLC and One Source to handle all your needs, you're going to hit up Living Proof and you're going to go ahead and get some merch so you can wear it proud.
Oh my gosh, like that was like the most ego stroking thing I've ever had in my whole life. And I just need to hear that every day when I get up. I'm gonna cut that and make it my ringtone when this thing drops, because I suffer from self-doubt, and hearing you say it and your vibe and your voice super pumped me up. I'm ready. Let's go.
Well, thank you for coming by, man. I know you got to get out of here. You can follow the Agro Labs at AgroLabCast on Twitter, and you can follow us on Instagram at the Agro Labs Podcast. Stay safe, stay agro, and stay home.
Dude.